Hey everybody, it's Everett with Ohio for Freedom. What we won't forget, what we won't do, what we will do. Plus a neat little bonus surprise on the other side, so let's head over to the other side right now.
I hear the sweet sound of freedom, and I won't be long.
Okay, let me get the usual housekeeping out of the way. Please like, please share, please subscribe, please leave a comment, especially on Facebook. Please leave a comment. If you don't have a comment, just write in there. I don't have a comment. The reason is that it helps us. Facebook has done every fake and phony thing they can to try to squash this page. We're consistently averaging about 1 million views in a 28-day period. It's not huge, but it's not insignificant, and all the voices are more important than ever. By the way, how you doing? 2 days into the quasi-administration of the president-in-thief. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. I have a couple of announcements I want to get out of the way, and I am going to answer an email that came in. And while I'm on that subject, I will say I've gotten every once in a while a comment that someone will say, "Don't meander, get to the point." Well, I will try to do my best to get to the point, but the other side of that coin is I'm a human being. I kind of do it the way I do it, and I'm not a button that you can just push and boop, out comes the little 2-second blurb that you're looking for. I understand as we were heading up to the 6th, as we were heading up to January 20th, we're all searching frantically for news. I get that, but I'm just going to be candid with you. I kind of do things the way I do it, and so if it's not your cup of tea, I completely understand. And along that same line, I got one line. We're going to talk about email just a little bit. I got one email that said, "Please unsubscribe me," and that's fine. I will not promise anyone to unsubscribe them. Why? Because if you're looking at an email that you did not want to get from this channel, on the bottom there's a link. Just click it and you're unsubscribed. It's easy. Only gotten one of those, but I wanted to make it clear. And I'm going to show about 90 seconds of how that whole process works. And I want to get on, not beat around the bush, but email has been a real pain. Just full disclosure, we host with GoDaddy. GoDaddy has been okay with us, but their email service that is a package that we have, it's just horrible. So we're in the process of switching that over. So if you get 2 exact emails at the exact same time, it's because the conversion process wasn't perfect. You can weed one of them out, and there you go. So in this episode, I'm going to introduce an element that I believe that we're going to use. I'm going to talk about what we won't forget, what we won't do, and what we will do. But at the end, I want to tell you what I think is where we are, what is really going on. And to see that, you got to go to ohioforfreedom.com and see this episode part 2. Why? Because I don't think Mr. Zuckerberg can handle it. And while I'm on the subject of what Mr. Zuckerberg can't handle, thank you for bearing with me. I'm excited. We were going to do this earlier, but over the weekend, I'll be interviewing Anna Gardner from New Mexico. They've partnered with Ohio Stands Up, and they have the same basic name in New Mexico. She has filed on behalf of their group the most powerful federal lawsuit, and it is extremely important to not just what we're going through here in America, but it has ramifications for this whole COVID lockdown, squash your rights business all over the world. And I mentioned the part 2 on the website for this reason. We are going to talk about the V word. Haven't talked about the V word that much. It ends with seen, V, seen. And I know that we're going to get into some stuff that if we just are just honest and lay it out there, I know that the Zuckerberg bots are going to jump on it like nothing. I don't want to lose the people that we have an introduction to on Facebook, and so that is how that is going to work. Okay, I'm going to take a breath, and then we're going to talk about some things that we are not going to do. All right, now I want to talk about some things that we are not going to forget. Now, who is we? Well, I'm taking a little bit of liberty, but I'm going to try to speak on behalf of real freedom-loving patriots. I know that we just went through a faux inauguration. If you want to know what I mean by that, join me for part 2. But I refuse to be brainwashed. And so along the process, a lot of people are just calling for unity, unity, unity. I'm not going to unify around something that is demonic, satanic, Luciferian, whatever you want to call it. So here's a few things I personally, you can join me if you wish, refuse to forget. The list is by no means exhaustive, but I think you'll get the point. I'm not going to forget about a fake water main break in Fulton County, Georgia. I'm not going to forget about that. I'm not going to forget about the midnight at the Oasis where they pulled these trunks full of ballots out and ran them through several times, and as though that is normal. Like I haven't actually forgotten about that. I'm not going to forget about the 4 a.m. magical dumps where there's these huge spike of 100% Biden votes hitting the computer systems. I'm not going to forget that. Not going to forget that Maricopa County in Arizona refused a subpoena because, after all, elections, they're not supposed to be transparent and open to the public. Actually, that case has turned around, and that's actually being looked at. But we're not going to forget about that. I'm not going to forget about all the incredible information that came from Dr. Shiva and his cyber forensic team. It's very, very compelling, very spot on, and I'm sorry, it's still out there. It's still factual information. We're not going to forget it. We're not going to forget, in a similar vein, about Russ Ramsland, who came to the same types of conclusions. He's the first one that pointed out to me, at least, that if you go to, I know for a fact that if you go to the Kentucky Board of Elections website, last time I checked it was a week ago, but sure enough, at the bottom, it's Seidel. And if you can do the IP address lookup, yes, you are going to Spain. We're not going to forget that. I'm not going to forget that 18 out of 19 of the bellwether counties in this country that always predict the results of a presidential election, they all went for Donald Trump. I'm not going to forget that if it wasn't for just 6 counties where there are 6 Democrat stronghold cities, I'm not going to forget that it was dependent upon those for us to believe the president and thief. I'm not going to forget that. I am not going to forget, and I want to give people their due. I'm not going to forget those huge crowds of 10, 20 people, sometimes 30, that Mr. Biden drew on a regular basis. And I want to be fair. I don't want to forget the 5s of people and the 10s of people that Cammie drew to her rallies. We got to give them, it's so what that Donald Trump could draw, 50,000 people, 60,000 people. But as far as what Joe and Cammie did, I'm not going to forget that. I'm not going to forget that Cammie Harris suppressed the case files, just deep sixed them on hundreds of them in California on pedophile Catholic priests. Because it happened, she did it. I'm not going to forget that. I'm not going to forget Cammie basically advocating, I want to be careful, fact checkers out there, but she basically wanted to decriminalize prostitution, even if it involved minors. I'm not going to forget that Cammie went after David Daleiden when he produced the undercover video of Planned Parenthood involved in the selling of fetal organs. He produced such powerful information that one organ procurement firm in California paid like $750 million, I believe is the case, but it was a lot of money to settle that case because it was real, it was credible, it was real evidence, and his group was the only one that Cammie ever went after. Now, I could add things to the list of things that I'm not going to forget, but I think you get the point. I refuse to be mesmerized. I refuse to be hypnotized. I refuse to be brainwashed. No, I haven't forgot where we really are and what's really going on. I'm going to have some things to say about the Republican Party, but as far as the symbol of the elephant, folks, that's one thing maybe we can hang on to, because they say that elephants never forget. Okay, and now here are a few things that at least and I invite you to join me, that I'm not going to do. First, I'm not going to accept Joe Biden as anyone other than someone that is completely CCP corrupt. Now, he's corrupt all over the globe, Ukraine, other places, but definitely China. I'm not going to go along with him as though he's a patriotic American. I am not going to accept Hunter Biden as anything other than a pedophile. And I'm sorry. I'm going to say this. When you listen to conversations that Hunter Biden has with certain individuals, he actually sounds like a nice guy. In the right setting at the right time, he sounds like a very friendly, very nice guy. He is really wrestling with some demons. Pray for Hunter Biden. But after I see Hunter Biden in photos that I wish I hadn't seen, when I see him passed out in bed with a crack pipe in his mouth, I know that no honest, credible company would ever entrust Hunter Biden with $1.5 billion to invest. So the reason that there was $1.5 billion to invest is for other purposes than you think. As his father says, that's the smartest guy that I know. I could show you video of Hunter Biden with 4 or 5 other Burisma executives, and he is so stoned and so hung over that it's all he can do to stay awake, fidgeting in the chair, making himself stay awake. It's a sad state of affairs. I am not going to accept Joe Biden as anything other than the president and thief, and I will have more to say about that. I saw Oprah's tweet, something like, everything's back to normal, hallelujah. Well, since she says hallelujah, Oprah, you're a witch. You're a witch. I'm serious. When I can show you and play you clips of Oprah saying, Jesus can't be the only way to God. There's hundreds of ways to God. Oprah, no. You're believing a demonic lie. You're a witch, and I'm not going to pretend that you're normal. See, you're not. It's all about, folks, that there's not going to be a new normal as far as my mindset goes. I'm not going to accept that Comey, that Clapper, that Brennan